like to share with you my top 10 all-time favourite bass lines for beginners. Now, I've been teaching these bass lines for over 25 years and I still enjoy playing them. Number one, they're a lot of fun, and number two, they're just great bass lines with great tunes as well. So I would recommend that you listen to the full version of all of these tunes. And by the way, there's a PDF with the music and the tab and a bit of background information about these tunes as well down below. So it's free, click on that and you can print it off and have a look at that while you're listening to these tunes as well. You'll find that helpful. The rhythm being used there is eighth notes, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And for the picking side of things, you'll find just starting off with one finger, start using alternating or two fingers when you feel ready. It's a step-by-step process and you can build up to that eventually. It's just using one finger and then using the other finger on its own and then putting the two together. That's the best way to get that going. If you're using a pick, all downstrokes is fine for the time being, but do try to bring in some upstrokes as well. And again, work on the upstrokes on their own, put the two together and they will start working for you. With the fretting hand, there is really three choices. Number one, you can use one finger per fret like this. It's a bit of a stretch though, so what I usually recommend is that you use fingers 1 and 4 and then move to the notes like this. You could of course use fingers 1 and 3 and do the same thing. But again, it's a little bit of a stretch. The other advantage of using finger 4 is that you can use the other fingers to support. So you're moving them as a unit, and that'll lead to a stronger and a more relaxed fretting hand. The other thing to bear in mind is always play right up against the frets, and that way you'll avoid any nasty buzzes, which you certainly don't want. The first thing you'll notice here is we've slightly increased the distance between one finger and the next finger. So if you're using one finger per fret, again, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's doable. So that's one choice. And again, you need to work out what works for you. The other way, again, is to just move to the note. Which again leads to a more relaxed fretting hand. The other thing that really stands out with this bass line is the space between the notes. And in fact, the bass line starts on an eighth note rest. So he's starting on the and of 1. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. And this really creates a lot of space within the music. And this allows the drums to come through and really lock together with the bass line. It's almost like a call and response, a question and answer type thing between the bass and the drums. So that really provides a nice tight rhythm section that's really well locked together. So again, the thing to notice here is we're using this alternating technique, and this is going to crop up quite a lot in bass playing. So far we've been using tones and semitones or half steps. This is just using a tone or a whole step. And you're just moving around following the chord progression, which is a nice way to do things. If you're following a chord progression and you come up with a short simple riff like this, you can follow the chord progression around and it does make life a little bit easier. Eighth notes again, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. You might also notice that we're playing across 3 strings now, although we're not really moving anywhere. So that interval, and an interval is just the distance between one note and the next note, is called an octave. So I'm playing a G on the 3rd fret and a G on the 5th fret. And that G up there is twice the frequency or twice the pitch of the lower one. And the word octave comes from 8. So if we played the major scale, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's our octave, and that's where the word octave comes from. Again, we've got 8 notes all the way, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, etc. So a nice steady beat there, and again locking in with the drums. You'll notice sometimes that the hi-hat will be following that 8th note pattern as well, or there'll be some other part of the kick that will complement what you're doing there. The thing that I really like about this bass line is the slides that he puts in. And one trick with slides, especially if you're sliding from fret to fret, is to overshoot with one finger and land on the next finger. With the other slide, we're just sliding into the open string, so that's nice and easy too. So again, he's using the slides to put a bit of emotion into that bass line, which again complements the lyrics and the music that's going on at the same time. This bass line's all on one string, and this is a really good example of smooth shifting from one ear of the neck to the next. And notice we've got some combinations of our previous bass lines. We've got this minor third going on here, tone, tone, semitone, or minor third, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. It's also the rhythm that's helping us to descend or go down in pitch down the string. So that da 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 is quarter note triplets. So da 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 da. It's got this really kind of offbeat, syncopated feel. That bass line, interestingly enough, was influenced by Good Times by Chic. The bass player used to hang out with those guys in New York, so that's where that influence comes from. And the other thing to notice here, again, it's a little bit like Peter Gunn. We're using the open string with some fretted notes in there, but we're also using some 16th notes. So that's a 16th note, 2 16th note lead in. Da da da, ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. 16th notes. So most of what we've been doing so far has been on 8th notes, and this is an example of sneaking in some 16th notes there. The first thing you notice about this bass line is there's another note in there that we haven't seen before, and that's a chromatic passing note. So if we have our whole step or our tone, which we've seen with our previous bass lines, if we put a semitone or a half step in between, we have a chromatic passing note from one tone to the next. And the bass line itself is based on the blues scale, which has that pattern in it. And he repeats that pattern as well when he goes down to F. So that was in C, the next part of the tune's in F. And again, he uses the same pattern. So again, we're just using 2 strings, but there's that chromatic passing note again, which is a really important line or pattern to get underneath your fingers. You'll find that very useful because it crops up again and again. So there we have another bass line that's using tones and semitones, or whole steps and half steps. There's a whole tone, and there's a semitone, tone, or whole step, half step, whole step, and it's going down a fifth. What do I mean by fifth? Well, if we count 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a fifth. And again, this is another example of a bass line really locking in with the bass drum. So have a good listen to what the bass drum is doing with the kit, and then you'll really see how the bass part and the drum part lock together to form a really tight groove. So I hope you find that useful, and if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and please also hit the subscribe button. And if you've really enjoyed things, then please think about Patreon to support this channel, and hopefully we can produce some more videos along this line and really spread the message of academic music and just making you a better bass player. Thanks for watching. My name's Pete, this is The Infinite Bass, and I'll see you next time.